trying to get our head around this AI phenomena out there and how to invest in it. It's got to be something more than simply NVIDIA. And a lot of folks have been looking towards the power play angle. How do you power all these data centers, and who's really going to benefit? And the good folks at Bloomberg Intelligence have done a lot of research on this and written a lot of really smart work. One of those analysts is our good friend, Rob Barnett. He's the senior energy and commodities analyst for Bloomberg Intelligence, joining us here. Rob, talk to us how you guys, from an energy perspective, approach this really newest phenomenon in the U.S. economy, and that is artificial intelligence.
Thanks, Paul. Well, it's really exciting to see something so profound happening in the utility space. If you look back over the last couple of decades, power demand in the United States and other Western countries has been pretty much flat. So kind of a boring, sleepy segment. But suddenly we have rapidly rising power demand in the U.S. and other Western countries because of this data center story. And I think the utilities and energy suppliers are scrambling to get all the electrons that are needed to meet this growth phenomena. The hyperscalers are spending something like $500 billion in CapEx next year, which is 3x what it was just a couple of years ago. And they're not building these data centers, buying all these GPUs unless they can power them. So it's a really exciting time to think about how you can get all the electrons you need to meet that rapidly rising demand.
You're the expert, Rob. What do you and your team think about the U.S., its ability to power this stuff? Are we there yet? How much do we need to build, and how are we going to power it?
Yeah, so I think all of the evidence suggests that we are going to be able to meet this need, but the energy piece is sort of a pick and shovel play. And so when we look at the story, we think gas is a critical piece of it. We've just got a couple of notes out over the past few days looking at what the potential there is. And so within just a handful of years, we see gas demand in the U.S. growing 1 to 5 BCF per day because of the rapidly rising electricity demand. And it's you might sort of say, hey, that's pretty big range, which I think is a fair criticism. But there's so much uncertainty because all of the hyperscalers are, in some sense, begrudgingly using natural gas. It's available. It's there to be used, but they would really prefer a clean, a carbon-free electron. And so part of the calculus that we're trying to unpack is just, well, how much of that realistically is going to come from gas, but also how much is going to go to solar, storage, geothermal. There's a lot of talk about nuclear. Don't expect that to arrive anytime soon, but there are so many pieces of the energy puzzle in play, and gas is certainly going to be part of it, but probably not the only piece of the story.
All right, so on the nat gas front, what are some companies out there that we should be paying attention to, do you think?
Yeah, so we just put out a note looking at the pipeline companies. And so if you think about it, certainly the upstream gas segment is exposed, but there are many drivers of overall gas demand, and LNG is a huge part of the story. But the pipeline operators are actually well suited to be building capacity to meet the needs of these data centers. And you've even got companies really even talking about what's called behind the meter, where they're directly servicing gas turbines and gas-fired operations that the hyperscalers are actually running themselves. So they're basically, if you go read about Colossus 2, this is the XAI facility in Memphis, Tennessee, and they're using gas turbines to help meet some of their need in a behind-the-meter context. So they're not grid connected, they're not gas units that the power plant, the local utility is running, but they're running it themselves. And there's a lot of anecdotes out there in the market like this. So your Williams, TC Energy, Kinder Morgan, these kind of companies are geared towards that type of phenomena.
Rob, about 30 seconds left. If I want to go out and build a pipeline, can I get that approved by this government?
Well, this is a perennial battle, talking about how quickly you can get energy infrastructure permitted. I think the current administration, in some sense, wants things to move much more quickly on this front, as long as it's a pipeline and perhaps not an offshore wind farm or solar project. But I do think you spend more years doing the lawyering work typically on a pipeline than the actual construction. So the proof will be in the pudding, but I think it's better if you've already got projects in your backlog and queue that you're executing on versus trying to come out of nowhere and propose something out of the blue.
All right, so I'll put my wallet back in my pocket there. Rob, thanks so much for joining us. Always appreciate getting a few minutes of your time. Ron Barnett, he's a senior energy and commodities analyst for Bloomberg Intelligence. For our listeners in